All right, good morning and welcome to the SwimCloud webinar series. My name is Scott Kitzman. I'm the Client Success Manager with SwimCloud. And with me this morning, as always, is Coach Kevin Kinel with the Duneland Swim Club and Chesterton High School team.
Thanks, Scott.
This morning's webinar, we're going to take a look at a couple Division II national title swims from the COVID-shortened Division II National Championships this year, where McKendree found themselves leading at the end of day one. Coach Kevin found a couple races that are going to utilize some of SwimCloud's unique race analysis features. So without further ado, Kevin, take it away.
Thanks, Scott. It's a pleasure as always. And for those that are logging on and watching, we really appreciate it. And feel free to ask questions. That's why we're here. And we're excited to show you these swims. And I picked out two that I thought were really, really good. And going to kind of break those up a little bit today and show you some of the metrics. And then next week, we're going to have Jimmy Tierney on, the coach at McKendree. And I'm so excited to have him on. He's going to go through some of the things that they did to get to that point and how they prepared for the NCAA. So I think that's going to be a real exciting one.
It should be excellent. So today we're just going to focus on the races themselves, breaking them down with race analysis. Then next week, we're going to have the coach on and discuss, Coach Jimmy Tierney, and discuss the work that they did to achieve those results, right?
Exactly. And so we think that'll be really fun. And Jimmy has done an incredible job. That program's only like 5 years old. So to bring them on the brink of a national title is incredible. So at that meet and at the NCAA Division II, McKendree, they had the first day prelims finals, and then the second day they had prelims, and then with COVID, it got shut down after that. So the very first event was the 1,000 free, and they won that, their men's program. And then the last event of that first evening was the 200 Medley Relay, and they won that. And I decided to show those two swims because it really shows the diversity of the McKendree program. The 1,000 free, you have to have a lot of pace work. You have to have the training behind you. And then the 200 Medley Relay, you've got to be able to sprint. You got to have that explosive work and all the events, not just one stroke. So I really think it shows some of the diversity of that program and the depth of the McKendree program. So like the first event, and I'm going to share my screen, was the 1,000 free. And actually, the 1,000 free was won by, and I hope I don't butcher his name, Fabio Delu, in 8:59.50, and that was really only a couple seconds off of the meet record, as I understand it. And then the last event, the 200 Medley Relay, they went 1:25.29. So wow. Fast meet, fast events. And I'm going to share my screen with you here. What I want to do is show you, I'm going to turn the sound out. This is the, of the 1,000 free, it would take too long to show the entire race. So I took segments of it. This first one is the 200 from the 300 to the 500. So he was, well into the swim and had just an incredible pace going on. And I want, you can see him here, Fabio, and as he's swimming, you see it's relaxed. He's got a nice long stroke. He has a little bit of catch-up. In some of these views, they'll show a little bit close-up. He's got a little bit of a catch-up stroke to him, but he keeps it nice and long. And you can see tempo 1.5, so he's not hurrying things, gets over 3 meters on each cycle, which is incredible. And 3 meters, he's really into a good rhythm. You can see here 1.5 tempo, just cruising out there. His turns, and we'd like turns to be 1.0 or better. And like we've said in some of the other race videos we've seen, In freestyle, it's when the head tucks here to when the feet push, and that should be 1.0 or better. You can see here he's 1.04, here he's 0.80. So he's got a good swim going, just a good pace. He's starting to distance himself a little bit from the field. And again, this is the NCAA championship, so it's incredible. He's got a little bit of a kick behind him, but nothing big. It's like he's saving his legs. And he's not really kicking real hard off the wall either. He's getting a good tight streamline, extending it out. So I'm going to ask Jimmy about that too, if that was a plan, because later in the race, he really does put his legs into it. And so he keeps it up. So this is right at coming into the 500. You can see he's still over 3 meters, still at that same 1.5 range. He's really dialed in. And it's evident to me that there was training going on to get this and pace work.
The consistency is incredible.
It is.
And
you know,
this is
six cycles all the way through.
300 to 500 of the 1,000.
Yeah, this is from the 300 to the 500 of the 1,000. So what I want to do now, and you can see 6 cycles. He's dialed in, and right at just not quite 5 meters every wall. So he's got a good tight streamline. And he doesn't do a lot of kicking off the wall. And I kind of think that was a plan.
Well, that'll be interesting to find out.
What I'd like to do is compare that with later in the race. And I also did the analysis of, on the left here is the one we just saw from the 300 to the 500. And then on the right here is an analysis from the 800 to the 1,000. And it's amazing to me. So the first 100 of each of them is identical, 6 cycles. You can see they're underwater 1.6 seconds time-wise, going about the same distance off the wall. Tempo, 1.54, 1.53. It's 1.4, or excuse me, 1.54, 1.53, 3.10, 3.11. He's just into that pace.
The turns are still, practically the same.
Yeah, and see on the second length, they are 0.83 and 0.83, unbelievable. 1.56 tempo, 1.56 tempo. 3.1 here, traveling 3 meters, 3 meters here. Velocity, look at that, 1.63, 1.63. He's just dialed in. Against this is beginning, this is from the, the 300 to 350 is where this one is. And this one is the, 800 to 850 is where we're at. Continuing 6 cycles, 1.54, 1.53 tempo. Still 3 meters, 3.1 meters every cycle, about the same distance off the wall. He's a machine.
Wow.
Same thing here. Same thing on that 4th length. But then it changes. And, here's some of the race plan. We're still 1.5, 1.5, 3.0, 3.1. Now, after that, 900 here is when he starts picking up the tempo. And this was a plan. He picks it up. When you increase your stroke rate a little bit, it does decrease your distance per cycle some. And so you see he's got 1.4 here, a little less distance per cycle, but keeping that velocity the same. And on the video, you can see that he's putting his legs into it as well. On this next length, 1.3, so he's picking it up more, still at 1.5 before. And so he's picking up that tempo some, keeping the velocity at a high rate, 1.3 to finish it out, and keeping the velocity at 1.6 high and 1.6 here. It's incredible. And here he puts his legs into it too, and he's just getting that much more to finish the race.
Look at the split on that last lap, 12.5 versus 13.4.
Yeah. It's a plan. He utilizes energy really well.
Clearly.
And clearly. So it'll be fun to find out what kinds of things that that they did leading in, how much pace work they did, how much yardage they did leading into this, and you know, kinds of things they did in dual meets to prepare him to be ready to do this. So those are things that is going to be fun to find out next time. So that's the 1,000. Great swim. I want to go into the 200 medley relay. And we're gonna talk about that, and the, you know, talk about extremes, you know, going from the 1,000 to the 200 medley relay. And like I said, they went 125, 29, awesome swims. And I hope I don't butcher these names, but I want to give these kids some credit. Their splits here, their backstroker, Devontae Carey, is 21:45. Their breaststroker, John, and I think it's pronounced Heafy, might be Heffy, 23:82, awesome. Greg Lachinsky, their flyer, 20.57, and then Alexander Skinner, 19:45, their freestyler. So, you know, it's not like they were suffering on any leg, very balanced, and you'll notice that too when we go into some of the metrics. And so SwimCloud allows us to analyze relays as well. And Devontae Carey, who is the backstroker, and this is him here. And I'll actually highlight him here so you can see, and I'm going to get this started. I am going to put the sound out. And I'm not going to go into full screen so that we can see the metrics as we go. And on his start, he really gets his feet up. You'll see his feet be the last thing that enter in the water. You know, he's got a great start. Really good. You know, this is him traveling right here. And so he is 12.2 meters underwater, so good. You can see he's got 2.6 velocity, so he's really carrying that speed well. And I'm sure they did a lot of drills to figure out how far he needs to go, how many kicks he takes. So it'll be fun to find out those things as well. Coming into this wall pretty hard. You can see 1.09 average. These dots are all every cycle that he's doing. And in backstroke, we're measuring it one hand hit to the next hand hit. His turn is awesome there too, 0.80. And coming into a good finish. And you can see here that he doesn't really slow down going into the turn. He's got good speed going, and he just drives right into the wall and sets up for a good exchange from the breaststroker. And on the way coming back, so 1.0 here, 1.1. So keeping a very strong tempo the whole way. He has good distance per cycle too, 2.6 going out, 2.65. You know, again, really consistent. And that really, I believe, is the name of the game here, is consistency. Their breaststroker, and this is him right here, as he's breaking out. You can see this is the 15-meter mark. He's 13.6 meters on that pullout, so he's got a great pullout. And short course, as we all know, I mean, that's so huge. So he gets a real good pullout and a good start to the race here. And they certainly have some competition here. As he goes, he's got a 1.7 average stroke rate, and you know, which is good. It means he's really digging in. He's racing. These dots, you know, lowering a little bit, is he gets more into a 1.1 tempo as he's going into the wall. So he slows down a bit, and he does glide some, and I think that might affect velocity a little bit, but it sets up for a real good turn. And you can see his turn was 0.90. So he gets in, gets out of the wall, great. Again, has a great pull out to his breakout, 9.5 meters on that pull out. So, and now he's going to dig in and get right back to that rhythm. And look at it here, how he accelerates in to the finish. And, you know, talk about something that you don't think about that much. When he accelerates into the finish like that, it's going to make the flyer have an easier exchange. And they really do have a good exchange here on the fly leg. So he's got his stroke rhythm down. He's going to hit the wall on a full stroke here. And you can see he's already getting a good advantage. And the breaststrokers were just about even. And he's got a good advantage already because he got a great exchange. And some of that is because of that breaststroker making the right moves. So the flyer here is really good underwater. And this is him right here, 13 meters on, you know, underwater. And look at that at 3 meters per second. He's really flying underwater, so to speak. And he has 0.91 tempo. So he is digging in and going and still over 2 meters. So he's powerful. He's keeping it good and long right in. And you can see at the, you know, he doesn't slow up much into the turn. Turn is 0.94. So these guys are getting in and getting out of the wall pretty fast. Here he's breaking out, extending his lead just a little bit, 12.5, and still, you know, almost 2.5 meters per second as far as velocity goes underwater. And he is so good underwater that it's, you know, it's clear that he's trying to hold that as long as he can. So I'm sure there's a kick count, and I'm sure that's something that they discussed, and it's a plan. So again, this stuff doesn't happen by accident. As you look, he's got good tempo driving right into the wall for the next exchange. The freestyler, almost 9 meters off the start, but look at that, how fast he is underwater. And so I think he, you know, he knows the exact time that he gets to get up, and he's already traveling so fast. So he's able to extend his lead a little bit there. He also has, you know, good stroke rate and a good path leading right into the turn. He flips at 0.7, so he's really getting in and out fast. 2.8, I mean, look at that big distance per cycle while he's really motoring. So that gives you a high velocity. 5 meters, so right about at the flags coming off. And, you know, in freestyle, sometimes you don't see people extending a whole lot, but it certainly doesn't hurt him as he gets right back into that 0.99 rhythm coming home, and he still keeps a distance per cycle over 2 meters. So pretty impressive swim. All the way into the wall. Very good. And I want to show, these guys are kind of happy. He was pumped as they look up at the record board. So really impressive relay. And I think too, if you take a look at this and you look back by each stroke, it's clear that the underwaters are important and they're a plan. It's clear that tempo is important to them in keeping that distance, you know, per cycle. They are really racing. You can see it in the back there. You can see it in the breaststroke here, how far he's going underwater, taking advantage of that. 3.6 meters here, 9 points here.
Looking at the blue underwater velocity versus the green on the water, on top of the water velocity. I mean, it's almost double.
Yeah.
Almost double for all those swimmers.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And when you're swimming short course, especially, and when you're doing these short events, it's all about being explosive. And if you can develop that underwater, whether it's the pullout or whether it's the fly kick, sometimes you can travel a lot faster than you can here. And the key is to know how long to hold that so you don't start slowing down and you don't get so tired. And that's where training comes in too. You know, you really have to work the legs to be able to do this. And Jimmy talked to me about the fact that they've been doing a lot of kicking. So it'll be fun to see what he's working on right now.
Very
But
interesting here.
yeah, breaststroker, you can see the flyer really takes advantage of it.
Look at that. Again, 3.06, 1.75.
Yeah. There's a big, you know, big discrepancy. And it's interesting too, because when we just showed a little while ago and we showed the 1,000 and you looked at the easy tempo, the good distance per cycle, not overusing your legs, especially early in the race, and then saving them for end of the race. Those are all really racing strategies. And then in this one where it's just all out going after it is what's important. And also having this incredible accelerations into the wall and not dropping off too much to make that exchange really important. All the way to the freestyler who does the same thing. I mean, he doesn't extend it as far, but he gets up when he needs to. So his underwaters are still higher than his surface velocity. So really, they did a wonderful job in keeping all that moving. And it's fun to see with this software going from one to the other. You notice that those are, to me, the short relays really highlight that explosiveness, and a lot of it has to do with the underwater, and a lot of it has to do with that tempo. But being able not just to have the tempo and spin your wheels, but to have the tempo and to be able to keep that good distance per cycle. So with that too, it'll be interesting to see with the sprinters if they do a lot of resistive training, if they do how much resisted training they do, what kind of weightlifting they do to be able to get this power, how much underwater kicking they do to be able to know how far they can go before they get to the breakout, how he determines that. All of those things are really interesting. Be interesting to see too, you know, how much work they do with tempo, and if that's a plan or if it's just, you know, the way each individual races. So I think that's fun. And it's interesting too with this software that you can go from one right into the other and link it.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah. You can see he hits on a full stroke. Great breakout. You know, this was just all four swimmers hitting their best time at the right time. And those kinds of things, like we said, really don't happen by accident. Really keeping long into the wall hard.
It will be interesting to hear from Coach Tierney next week what some of these plans were and what kind of preparations they strategically made ahead of this meet.
Absolutely. And they definitely have competition. I think this is University of Indianapolis that's second behind them. It's the freestyler. So and I thought it would be fun, and I'm gonna get out of this, but I thought it'd be fun to take a look at those two events. And ironically, the 1,000 led off the meet, and the 200 medley relay ended up finishing the meet because that was the last one that they were able to have. And so we highlighted those, tried to show you some of the metrics that we feel are important, and then we'll see what Jimmy's thoughts are and how he's going to try to continue things and move forward. Do you have a question, Scott?
No.
Okay, so next week, like we said, we're going to have Jimmy Tierney from McKendree. He is been a success everywhere he's been. You know, he's been at Northwestern before that. And then McKendree built it up in really, I think, less than 5 years. After maybe 2 or 3 years, he got to where they were vying for a conference championship. And now, you know, just in about 5 short years, they're vying for an NCAA championship. So looking forward to that. We really appreciate those of you that have been tuning in and asking any questions, and that's awesome. So please check out next week, and we're going to have a lot of fun with Coach Jimmy Tierney from McKendree.
All right. Excellent, Kevin. Thank you.